Yes, Mr. Marshal, the initial orientation went smoothly enough. The new personnel are now undergoing an icebreaker to weed out the usual Foundation and GOC spies. They are nothing if not tenacious. I expect productivity for our latest venture to increase by about 40% once training and contract binding is complete, and not a moment too soon. I'll read you the information on our most popular delicacy as you have requested. This is object classification OCN39/T5FG6/7HJL2. Status is currently selling, demand high. We value it at about 440 Great British pounds per serving, 2,000 Great British pounds per jar. Our current inventory is estimated to be approximately 3 million units. Our identifier is Kaiju Caviar, the salt-cured roe of the colossal aquamorph entity which attacked the Fey Isle of High Brazil in 1988. Each egg is approximately 2¼ inches in diameter, iridescent sea green, and best served individually as an entree. Currently available from our Pretty Penny line of restaurants, both off of the Mother of Pearl collection menu as well as in jars of 6 for retail purchase. This initial report was authored by Mr. Rupert Carter, date August 22nd, 1988. My. This aquamorph, or whatever the proper term for it is now, has certainly proven to be an unprecedented windfall. And to think that those now impoverished pixies were so desperate they sold us the beast for barely 5 pence a pound. As much as it delights me to see so many eager customers frantically forking over small fortunes for a handful of a festering carcass, I'm also pleased to announce that we found a far more refined use for this creature that will appeal to our core clientele. I'm sure you're all well aware of my love of caviar, so when I heard the aquamorph was female, I couldn't help but wonder about the nature of his eggs. I had our team slice open its ovaries, and my hunch proved correct. They were filled with ripe roe, millions of eggs, the size of apples, shining like pearls as green as the sea. None of them had been fertilized, thank goodness, though that is perhaps not surprising. If you looked like that creature, you'd have a hard time getting a date too. I had the lab run some tests to make sure they were safe for human consumption, then trusted them to Penny Price, our chef de cuisine. She did not disappoint. These abominations are, without a doubt, the most delicious caviar I have ever eaten. They're even better than that glistering salmon we serve. Right now, the only problem is one of overabundance. I've had a small portion of the eggs cryopreserved for research purposes, but, of course, freezing caviar ruins the texture, so that's not an option for the rest of them. I've had them pasteurized and vacuum sealed, so they might last 15 months, but selling so many in such a short time would flood the market, though not as flooded as High Brazil was. Our most urgent concern is finding a way, anomalous or otherwise, to preserve these eggs indefinitely. If we could do that, our supply could easily see us through to the end of the next century. Here's to egg on our face. Regards, Rupert Carter. The following is Memo 01. Sender by Mr. Percival Dark. Recipient to Mr. Rupert Carter. Considering how ample our supply is, I suppose I can tolerate parting with them for a few £100 apiece. Nonetheless, I must state frankly that I consider eating the eggs of a sea monster frivolity to the point of insanity. Sadly, I expected no better from you, Rupert. I can easily preserve the eggs indefinitely in an alchemical filter, but since you intend to consume them like quail eggs, this may not be viable. The eggs would undoubtedly absorb some of the solution, tainting their flavour. More gravely, if even trace amounts were to be consumed by our patrons, the effects would be unpredictable. I request 144 gross, 20,736 of these eggs be delivered to my sanctum for study. Though they likely have a plethora of potential uses, I will make finding a palpable means of preserving them a priority. The following is Memo 02 from sender Ms. Penny Price to recipient Mr. Rupert Carter. Hello, Mr. Carter. My customers are loving this Kaiju Caviar. We're selling nearly 100 plates of it a day. I agree with you that it'd be a shame to just let it all spoil. I know you have tall, dark and hammy looking into it, but I don't really think he cares about this product as much as we do. The caviar problem happened to come up during a conversation with a pair of my regulars. They're a neo-Sarkic couple, very interested in the aquamorph attack, and absolutely tickled pink at the privilege of eating its eggs. It's a privilege they'd very much like to retain, and they're willing to cut a deal. In exchange for nothing more than free dining for life, they'd be willing to work some carnomancy that will let us preserve the eggs indefinitely. Now, we should probably do the ritual in small batches rather than all at once, in case something goes wrong and we lose the whole stock, but other than that, I don't see the harm. Get back to me and let me know what you think. Kisses, Penny. Following is Memo 03, sender Mr. Rupert Carter, to recipient Ms. Penny Price. Penny, you're a genius. The following is Incident Report 01, surveillance recovered from Halfscore Manor. Date, 10th 13, 1988. 2055. Rupert Carter and Penny Price arrive at Halfscore Manor. They are greeted by Seamus and Eurydice Halfscorn. 21:00. The Halfscorns show Carter and Price to their parlour for drinks and hors d'oeuvres. 21:32. Price shows the Halfscorns a 6-count jar of Kaiju Caviar. 21:38. After some preparation, the eggs are placed within a casting circle of neo-Sarkic glyphs. Eurydice strips nude while the others don blood-red robes. Eurydice stands in the centre of the casting circle, while the others form a triangle around it. 21:40. After roughly a minute of chanting, Inardite, an unusual amount of menstrual blood begins to flow from Eurydice's vaginal canal. The blood drips into the circle, flows into the glyphs, and begins to vaporize into a red miasma, which is absorbed by the eggs. 21:46. Fetal forms are now visible within the eggs. Carter, Price, and Halfscorns all express confusion and alarm at this development. 21:58. The first egg hatches, producing a hatchling identical to Colossal Aquamorph entity. While Carter is delighted at this development, the others are still clearly unnerved. 22:11. All eggs have now hatched, with the hatchlings growing rapidly. Carter attempts to place them inside of a crate, and they react with hostility. 22:13. After a brief skirmish, Carter, Price, and Halfscorns flee the parlour and seal the hatchlings in. Carter phones the London office, informing them of the situation and requesting monster wranglers. 22:34. Multiple vehicles arrive at Halfscore Manor. Carter goes out to meet them, believing they are Marshal, Carter, and Dark, only to realise they are GOC. Apparently the Halfscorns' phone line was not properly secured, alerting the GOC and possibly others to the situation. 22:37. As the GOC commander interrogates Carter, the hatchlings break out of the parlour, now nearly 5 feet tall. All GOC present engage the hatchlings, and Carter and Price escape in the confusion. 22:46. After successfully exterminating all 6 hatchlings, the GOC proceeds to interrogate the Halfscorns. When they are unable to convince them of their innocence, they attempt to fight their way out. Both are killed. 22:55. The bodies of the hatchlings, Seamus and Eurydice, as well as Halfscore Manor and all neo-Sarkic paraphernalia within, are now in possession of the GOC. Note, the Marshal, Carter, and Dark Legal Department was later granted access to the Halfscorn security footage to prepare for Mr. Carter's deposition. The following's Memo 04, sender Mr. Percival Dark, to recipient Mr. Rupert Carter. Rupert, it seems I may owe you an apology. This caviar problem of yours was just the incentive I needed to further develop my chronospheric cavadium. I'm quite pleased with the device. Within its confines, time can be sped up or slowed 100-fold, and I'm quite confident it can function indefinitely. The current prototype is large enough to hold our entire stock of Aquamorph eggs, which will suffice for the present. I will, of course, be creating others, as we wouldn't want to put all our eggs in one basket. It was very wise of you to entrust this task to me, and not go off on your own to find some back-alley blackbloods to try and immortalize the eggs, only to mutate them into parthenogenic hatchlings that brought the book burners down on them, costing them their lives and nearly yours as well. Yes, it was very wise of you indeed. You idiot. Well, if I dare say so, Mr. Marshal, I am not sure I approve of the unprofessionalism of our staff, but I certainly recommend the row. Ms. Dark treated me to some fine specimens when I was last in Hong Kong, and I'm glad we can preserve what we have, at least for now.